Hi Aquarius, welcome to your September 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here, and as we begin the month of September, you have a couple of heavy hitters, personal planets in the 8th house. The 8th house is a very powerful house, although it is not an angular house, which is supposed to be where all the action is. It is a house that connects you with your inner world in the form of your shadow self, as well as the shadow self of others. And it's the area of secrets and, what lies beneath the surface. So Mars in particular can make you feel like you're not going to leave any stone unturned. Now, this will depend on your own personal situation. Like, for instance, this is strictly hypothetical, but let's say there's an Aquarius person out there. And this reading, by the way, is for Sun and Rising Aquarius. But let's say there's an Aquarius person who is experiencing a relationship, that issue that they don't feel like they're on the same page with their partner. And something could be something like the person said or did, and all of a sudden it sets you off, and you're on this frenzied attempt to uncover their secrets. You suspect that they're cheating, something like that. It's interesting. What I was going to say right in that moment was, well, that's, if this is a Sun in Aquarius person, that's not going to happen because everyone knows that Aquarius is a very detached sign. So Aquarius would be the last person to go around in a frenzy about thinking somebody's cheating. But I was flashing on the fact that Phil Collins, the drummer for Genesis, also had a very successful, or you could say has a very successful solo career, happens to have the moon in Scorpio. His sun is in Aquarius. And if you ever go on YouTube, you may see my comments because I am a prolific commenter. And I loved some of Genesis and Phil Collins's work. But one of the things that I noticed is that he had, in his solo work, he had some of those themes of, like, he has a song, Do You Know, or Do You Care? I Don't Care Anymore. And it sounds like he had a runaround or a experience with a narcissist, a malignant narcissist, just by some of the wording. And I looked up his astrology and I found out he has the moon in Scorpio. And I'm sure I started laughing at that point because I know that it made so much sense. Even, In the Air Tonight, that has a very ominous theme. And there's some, if you listen to the words, it'll make you understand that he has the moon in Scorpio. So if you do, I know that was a long story, and most of you probably don't have the moon in Scorpio, so anyway, where was I even going with that? But yeah, I just feel like there's an intensity with you right now. And that can have so many implications, but also reasons. And if you're dealing with a will, for instance, you're going to probably go all out. And you may even uncover what that person or other people are doing to possibly cheat you out of money. On the 6th, you have a new moon here, so there might be new developments in this area. The 8th house is the area of shared resources. So whether it's money from an inheritance, money from your spouse, or maybe they have a new job and they're making a lot more money. it can just show up for you in one way or the other. This new development. Eighth house is metaphysics, so it might be a new studying that you're doing in terms of metaphysics. On the 10th, Venus goes into Scorpio. So here we are talking about Scorpio. Well, Venus goes into Scorpio. And for Aquarius, you're a fixed sign, so this is going to affect your 10th house of career. And there you go. You could have some kind of harmonious development with career matters. You could meet a love interest through your career. Maybe starting a career in something that has a beautifying element, whether it's you being a beautician or an artist. Something along those lines. On the 14th, Mars goes into Libra, and that's a fellow air sign. In this case, it's the sign before you, so it's going into your 9th house, and this is Sag's domain, so this can have something to do with traveling. You might have the desire, maybe an intense desire to travel. Perhaps this is when you're going to begin your travels. Mars will probably be in this sector for 6 or 7, 8 weeks, so it doesn't have to be right now when it happens, but it could happen. The 9th house is academia, so getting into some kind of dispute or, not getting along with people. If you're a student, watch out for getting in a fight with your professor, your dean. There might be something that, honestly provokes you that is going on. And I'm not here to say that you should just accept whatever comes your way, but do so in an agreeable manner. You catch more flies with honey. Remember that saying. You don't have to be in people's faces to get your needs met. On the 20th, we have the full moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. So for you, this is the second house. Oh, yeah, it's the second house of earned income. And this is such a late degree of Pisces, I can't help but wonder if this is really some kind of a peak of something. And with your money, this could be like financially lucrative. So without knowing exactly what you're doing, if you are just taking your money and run with it, that might be something that is really indicated here, that you are experiencing some kind of a harvest time. And by the way, I think this is a harvest moon, so that would be the perfect time to see you reap your blessings from past endeavors where you worked for what you had, and now you've kind of paved the way for it to now come into fruition. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Libra, and so this is the sun going into that 9th house, very positive, expansive territory, one that you really harmonize well with, Sag. So that isn't anything unusual. You really believe in the tenets of this house, including freedom and just this desire to pursue wisdom in life. might be very strong within you at this time. Travel can feel like you have that sense of freedom. And then on the 27th, Mercury goes retrograde. And this happens to be in that 9th house. So Mercury retrograde in the 9th house may indicate some kind of rethinking of your life philosophy. And, sometimes I say that and it's almost hard to keep a straight face, because it's like, how many people would think like that? But really, it's not necessarily that formal. An example would be if somebody experiences an unwanted thing. Like, let's say somebody gets fired, and yet they've always believed in the fact that they're being taken care of by God. It's almost like God the Father. And they have to, that is their religious belief. But all of a sudden, they get fired, and this can even sadly be sometimes with the church that a person belongs to, is that they no longer practice what they preach, or maybe they never did, and you just found out that. But if somebody doesn't have something to give you, or you don't have, I'm sorry, and actually I meant you don't have anything to give them, and all of a sudden they're not as interested in you and whatever it is that you stand for. This can also apply to personal relationships, where somebody loses their job and then all of a sudden the other person loses interest. Well, that is certainly a wake-up call that that person was not really in love with the other party. And that can be a bitter pill to swallow, because you feel as though you were betrayed in some way. Sometimes religion does this, or just your own life philosophy. Yeah, I would say like an example of life philosophy with career is that if you do everything, if you're diligent, if you show up on time, it doesn't have to be that you get fired, but let's say you don't get a promotion and somebody else gets the promotion. It can feel like, oh, okay, I get it. So that's how it's going to be. I don't know if this would have anything to do with work, because with your full moon in Pisces, it could simply be that you are swamped, if you will, and you don't have the wherewithal to... Swamped isn't what I meant. I meant that you are... it's like being disillusioned, that you giving your all wasn't enough to secure a higher position. But because of this full moon, you might be doing quite well. And it might simply have things to do with other areas of life that, like self-esteem. Full moon, the second house can be about your self-esteem. This Mercury retrograde is happening in your 9th house, and you may see that you need a new philosophy of life. Maybe you've tolerated things for far too long that you should have nipped in the bud. But it can be a very good time for any kind of meditation, for instance. I think I read somewhere that Mercury retrograde is a great time to go within, and this being a God house, I don't see how it gets much better than that. Oh, you know what I would say is, if you had travel plans that got somehow, postponed or what have you. This can be, and you are really looking forward to recharging your batteries. In the meantime, of course, hopefully you'll be able to do that soon. But in the meantime, you can do something that is closer to home that separates you from the masses. If it's something you want to do, like you just want to clear your head. I think of the Four of Swords in astrology, for instance. I mean, the tarot. Oh my gosh. It's the morning. What can I say? I'm a little bit spaced out. Okay, that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope that this resonated. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.